With the release of Project Epoch just around the corner, today we're going to answer the question, is Mage worth trying out on Epoch? I myself am still struggling to make a class choice, so this series will help me dive deep into all the changes Epoch made to the classes and see if Mage is any good though. So let's dive right in. The very first thing we can see here is that we will be able to conjure the ritual of refreshment, which means that we finally won't be forced to distribute every mana boon separately to everybody. So as in the future expansions, we just conjure a table and everybody can just simply, so we simply don't bother about that. On top of that, it seems that mages can now conjure weapons, and the funny thing is that they can distribute it to the other players from the raid or party. These weapons do have some intellect on it, and if you haven't known, in vanilla, intellect actually affected your skill to be able to train weapon skills. So the more intellect you had, the easier it was to actually gain a skill up. Those weapons are literally just to train the weapon skills, so it's not so annoying as in standard vanilla or TBC. On top of that, they have some niche uses. For example, when during a raid or party or dungeon or something, somebody gets his weapon destroyed. So this is like a last resort. If you have a mage in your party, you can conjure a weapon for you, and you can use it until you will have a chance to teleport to repair or something like that. So very cool and very magey spell, let's say. So good to have something like that. It's like a very niche usage, but very thematic for a certain class, so I love it. Next one are teleportations, standard stuff. We will be able to do a quest which will allow us to teleport to Stoneheart for the Horde and Thermore for Alliance, so yeah, less traveling for mages, although those will require you to complete the class quest to land those teleports and portals. So let's say that the obtain method will be a little bit more epic to the standard trainer stuff. And of course, things like Arcane Intellect will be raid-wide now, so same for every class, literally. So that will be it for general changes. Now let's have a look at the spellbook, and we start off with the Arcane. Arcane is a little bit crazy if you look at it, because look at this. First things first, Arcane Barrage, which is not a talent, it's a normal trainable spell at level 22. It's quite expensive, has 8-second cooldown, but it works the same as in Wrath of Lich King. So you launch a missile that causes quite a lot of arcane damage, and it has like additional synergy with the arcane spec, of course, because it consumes your arcane blast stacks that you of course stack with arcane blast itself, and when you actually consume them, your arcane missiles will deal more damage per each stack. So this will create a more engaging rotation for the Arcane, as you will be able to cast Arcane Blasts, as many as possible, to stack those, then consume them with Arcane Barrage and follow it up with fully channeled Arcane Missiles. It's only 3 spells, but let's face it, the vanilla rotations weren't exactly engaging, I would say, so having something like that for Arcane with all those custom spells and stuff is really, really cool. And on top of that, Arcane Barrage is a trainable spell, so it can be used by any spec, literally. Which means that, yeah, we will have additional instant cast spell to cast on any other spec, so very useful, I would say. Arcane Blast is exactly the same as in TBC, as each time we cast Arcane Blast, the casting time is reduced while mana cost is increased, and effect stacks up to 3 times. So it seems that Arcane Barrage can be, the damage can be increased to 45% and Arcane Missiles as well, so pretty cool stuff. Arcane Brilliance, of course, is a raid-wide effect, as we've spoken previously. Arcane Missiles have been updated. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't see any changes in here, unless it's some scaling or damage modifier. Otherwise, it looks pretty much the same. So it seems that the Conjure Mana Ruby is updated, and I think it is caused because it now has 3 charges. So it's not like you use one and you already get rid of it, but you can just conjure it and have it for longer periods of time, which can be pretty much useful in especially for Arcane, which is very mana expensive during like raiding, where you can use it on cooldown basically. So yeah, good to have. Conjure weapon, as you can see, If we take a look, I thought there are like other weapons that we can conjure, but conjures a battle axe with 50 durability, which can be equipped by anyone that can use this weapon type. This is strange because is it only the axe or is it like goes on random or something like that? I'm not quite sure. This is rank 7, so maybe previous ranks give you different weapon or something. Maybe somebody can confirm it that played the beta, but yeah, I'm not quite sure about this one, but I think that previous ranks just simply gave you different weapon. Evocation has been changed as in TBC it literally restored like 40% of your mana or 60%, not quite sure now. But it has been reverted back to the vanilla state where channeling the spell, your mana regeneration is active and increased by 1500%. So I'm not quite good at maths, but as long as I'm concerned, this should be a buff if you do have larger mana pool. But on the other hand, percentage-wise, if you had more mana, then... so maybe this is a nerf, not quite sure about that, to be honest. But yeah, it was reverted back to the vanilla state. In TBC, we also get Mage Armor, which basically allows us to have 30% of our mana regen to continue while casting, which is great for PvE. All the portals, updated portal to Stoneheart, of course, like we've spoken. Slowfall has been updated, not quite sure why. Maybe it doesn't require a reagent now, but I'm not quite sure. In TBC, as a capstone, as Arcane, we receive a slow, which is very nice, and it has a very nice, interesting workaround in here, because if it has like additional line, if the target is immune to movement speed reductions, this spell enters a 2-minute cooldown and still applies the other effects, so it's still usable on bosses, this means. I'm not quite sure what exactly is the aim of this spell, because yeah, either way you can either really slow a boss this way because it's so powerful, or you can simply just apply a slow effect for the damage increases, because we know, like for example Frost or Arcane did had some talents that, for example, deal more damage when the target is slowed, so maybe this is like a synergy between those two things, but I'm not quite exactly sure. Ritual of Refreshment, so yeah, free mana buns for everybody as we spoke, and yeah, on top of everything we receive Rune of Power, which is also available for all specializations, as this is a trained level 50 spell. So it places a Rune of Power on the ground for 30 seconds, which increases spell power by 10%. So we will have to be very tactical about it, so we don't put it in some place where we have to run away from, as it has 5-minute cooldowns and lasts 30 seconds. So it's quite long, to be fair, but yeah, we'll have to be very careful where we place that, to be fair. And it seems that it lines up very nicely with Bloodlust, so ultimately in raids this will be amazing. In TBC we also get a spell steal, so we can steal a magical, beneficial magic effects from the target, which means that, for example, if a target casts haste on himself, then we can steal it and get a haste buff for ourselves. So it has very niche uses, but yeah, sometimes if you can steal a powerful buff from somebody, you can get very nice benefits for it. If we take a look at the tree, there were some swaps here and there. Mainly we get Arcane Blast on level 20, which is a talent in here. I don't see a talent like Improved Blink, but I do see its effects on the Prismatic Cloak, so I think those have been... And Arcane Impact definitely has been buffed because it increases crit strike chance of all of our Arcane spells, so we just simply additionally get free 6% crit chance for any spell we cast, so that's quite powerful. On top of that, we receive Empowered Arcane Missiles, which will be amazing for our new rotation. Critical strike damage bonus of all spells, so pretty straightforward, deal more damage with crits, and yeah, increases spell damage by up to 5% of our total intellect, so I think that ultimately it can be the best scaling damaging spec, let's say, for mages. But usually other trees also have something similar, so we'll have to wait and see. And the capstone is a slow that we mentioned previously. So that will be it for Arcane. Definitely looks pretty damn cool with all those changes. And finally we'll have somewhat engaging rotation. Not quite sure yet what about Fire and Frost. But the Arcane definitely seems like a very fun to play when it comes down to mages. Next up we have Fire. Look at the amount of spells in comparison to Arcane. It's crazy, man. But yeah, of course, Inclusive Blast Wave, which is a talent. Combustion is our capstone from Vanilla. We get a new capstone in TBC, which is a Dragon's Breath, as more of our CC and PvP stuff, with occasional niche usages in like dungeons to CC stuff and break some casts, for example. Otherwise, we only get one new toy in here, which is Molten Armor, that eventually will increase the crit chance, and reduce the chance we will be critted by 5%, so it has a little bit of a small defensive, but yeah, mostly 3% more crit is always welcome to have, so good to have it. Otherwise, we will probably be spamming fireballs still. But yeah, let's have a look at the tree. We do see here all of the familiar stuff. Blast Wave, Critical Mass, Pyroclastic Burst. This is definitely something new. Your final spell criticals have 50% chance to increase the damage of your next Pyroblast by 10%, stacking up to 5 times. You cannot cast Presence of Mind while this effect is active. So it seems that our crits will stack above, but increases the damage of our Pyroblast, but we cannot make it instant through the Presence of Mind. So, okay, that's pretty damn nice, I would say, because it will somewhat make our rotation a little bit more engaging. At least will force us to click another spell except for like Fireball, which is nice to have. I guess that's more of like a cheap version of Hot Streak, I would say, but still pretty cool. So we just get 5 stack of that, and then we shoot out Pyroblast, which is eventually still hard casted, but deals definitely more damage, especially if it crits. I can imagine that it can go really crazy. Pyroblast go brrr. And from TBC we have things like Blazing Speed, for example, which will be amazing for PvP, more mobility, Firepower, Standard Staff, Molten Fury, critical talent because it increases all damage we deal to targets with less than 20% health, so literally an execute phase. Combustion, 100% chance to crit. No, sorry. In TBC it's like 10% and stacks if you don't crit, so... And Dragon's Breath are like capstone, so not so many changes for fire. As we can see, we get only Molten Armor from the spells, and we get the Pyroclastic Burst when it comes down to PvE. All the other things are not really that crazy or fun, so to speak. So let's have a look at the Frost. First of all, we got all the standard stuff in here: Frostbolt, Icy Veins, Ice Lance, of course, but we get it quite late, level 56. I think in TBC it was 62. So still, it's more of our end game stuff rather than leveling. So it's kind of a shame. I was hoping that we can get it at least like around level 30. That would really make Frostmage really fun. 56 is quite late, to be fair. Summon Water Elemental, which is quite straightforward. We know it from TBC very well. This is probably a capstone of the Frost spell. Yes, Frost Tree. So let's have a look in here. The very first thing I notice, and will be quite important for endgame PvE, is that Frostbite gives you chill effects 5% chance to freeze the target in place for 5 seconds, but if the target is immune to being frozen, it will be considered as frozen. This means that this will work on bosses, and it will pretty much give us 5-second window to benefit from Shatter on the bosses, which is massive, to be fair. Because if it procs, you can cast spam Ice Lances on the move, and yeah, we all know that the global cooldown is 1.5 seconds, and this lasts 5 seconds, so literally we can shoot out 3 Ice Lances that will benefit from Shatter, which is crazy good damage on the move. And otherwise we can just simply do Shatter combos with it. So yeah, Frost definitely engaging. Oh my god, Frost looks cool because of that. Especially that Frostbite will be useful in leveling because we can freeze people, and the freeze immune will still be able to get Shatter benefit, which is very nice. I like that change. So I think that comparing it to Fire, Frost will be way up there. Especially that it's more efficient and less mana expensive, so I think that initially Frost will be on top when it comes down to the all 3 specs, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, we have pre-standard stuff with Winter Chill adding some crit chance, Arctic Winds increase all frost damage, and Empowered Frostbolt adds some spell power scaling on it. Oh, with additional 1% chance to critically strike. It seems that we get shit ton of crit chance from all this. Look at this. Frost damage. This gives us 2%, 10%. This gives us 5%. Oh, we get some new thing in here. Increases damage done by your frost spells by 2%. This effect is tripled against enemies that are immune to fire damage. So it seems that, yeah, fire immune things, which means Onyxia Lair and things like Molten Core, which are the initial raids, are going to be heaven for frost mages. Because with 3 points, this is 6% increased frost damage, and while the effect is tripled, it's going to be 18%. So, oh yeah, those modifiers are really crazy, man. Frost looks really promising. On top of that, we also get Summer Water Elemental, so we have a very nice offensive cooldown on top of everything. Oh man, I have to say, is Mage any good though? Yeah, definitely, man. On Epoch, Arcane looks pretty damn fun and pretty damn powerful, which is great. Not quite sure about Fire, but also it's, let's say, standard TBC stuff with the addition of the Pyroclastic Burst, which initially may not be really that great, especially that will not have that much crit, so stacking this will be a pain in the ass. So yeah, Fire I would probably say more for like further down the line, into the further tiers of raiding. And yeah, Frost looks really promising as well. That Frostbite change with Ice Shot, sorry, Piercing Ice for the initial raids, man, this is gonna be like best in slot, I'd say. Really cool stuff. So if you're all in love with mages and you were always a mage main, you will not regret it, it seems. I know that people tend to say that mages are the true Blizzard class and they always were so powerful. Well, it seems that Epoch is a true vanilla plus because they keep to that fact as well to make mages quite powerful. But yeah, definitely it looks really fun. I love the changes to Arcane, love the changes to Frost. Fire could use some love maybe later down the line, we're gonna see. But yeah, overall, great changes for mages, and it's gonna... The most important thing is that all those changes will make the playstyle more engaging, because we all know that, for example, for Frost, even in TBC, it still was just spamming Frost bolts because Ice Lances were unusable, for example. And this is gonna be different because we can just finish casting Frostbolt and shoot that Ice Lance at the end of it for massive shatter combos, which is going to be great. Especially that Frostbite has 50% chance to freeze, so it's quite high to be fair. Especially that usually we also stack Haste on Frost to shoot out as many Frostbolts as possibly can, because we get also quite a lot of crit from the spec itself. So yeah, cool stuff, definitely. And in Arcane, if I remember correctly, in TBC of course we didn't have Arcane Barrage and Arcane Missiles were useless. So yeah, it was literally Arcane Blast spam, which wasn't the most fun thing in the world as well. So the funny thing is that in my videos in the comment section, I've seen that people say, oh no, this Epoch changes are shit, I'm gonna stick to Turtle WoW. And it seems that those changes actually from mages did beat Turtle, because I know that in Turtle with Arcane Mage you are just playing with Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles. I think there is some kind of synergy between those two. You just mix and match those. And yeah, Frost Mages don't have Ice Lance there, so pretty damn cool. Although on Turtle Fire is more exciting, I would say, as they have like cheap version of Hot Streak there, so it can be fun. So if you want to play Fire, go Turtle. If you want to play Arcane or Frost, Epoch all the way. Right guys, so mages, yeah, definitely recommend those. So we're only left with the Hunter now, so this is going to be our next video. Hope this overview did help you out to make your choice, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.